Before anything else, take a quiet moment and let your mind become still. Set aside the noise of the outside world, even if it is only for a little while. There is something happening beneath the surface of everyday life that deserves your attention. It is not loud, it is not dramatic. Most people would never notice it, yet it is already changing the direction of someone's heart in ways they never expected. Beyond daily routines, endless distractions, and the pressure to keep moving forward, something has been quietly growing. It did not arrive with a sudden announcement. It did not demand attention or force anyone to stop what they were doing. Instead, it entered gently, almost like the first soft light that appears before the sun rises. At first, it was easy to overlook. It seemed like nothing more than another passing thought. But with every passing day, it became impossible to ignore. Someone whose path is deeply connected with yours has recently experienced a realization that completely changed the way they see you. It caught them by surprise because they never imagined such a simple truth could have such a powerful effect. They have been carrying this feeling inside themselves, trying to understand it, trying to give it a name, yet every answer only leads them deeper into the mystery. Do not leave now, because this realization has nothing to do with money, success, appearance, or the opinions of other people. It reaches much deeper than any of those things. It speaks to the part of a person that cannot be measured or explained with simple words. For a long time, they believed they knew exactly what kind of person they were looking for. In their mind, they had built a picture of the perfect connection. They carried expectations shaped by old experiences. They held on to ideas created by past disappointments, forgotten dreams, and stories that never reached the ending they hoped for. They thought they understood what happiness would look like if it ever appeared. Then something unexpected happened. It was not a dramatic event. It was not a life-changing conversation that everyone would remember forever. It may have been a simple memory that returned without warning. It may have been a quiet moment alone. It may have been a feeling that appeared for no obvious reason at all. On the surface, nothing seemed different. Life continued as it always had. Yet beneath that ordinary moment, something important shifted. A new understanding slowly began to take shape. Without realizing it at first, they started looking at you from a completely different point of view. You had not suddenly become someone new. You were the same person you had always been. Your values had not changed overnight. Your heart remained the same. What changed was their ability to finally see what had been there all along. That realization surprised them more than they expected. Imagine searching for something year after year, believing it must exist somewhere far away, only to discover it had been standing quietly in front of you the entire time. Imagine spending so much energy looking toward the horizon that you never noticed the treasure already within reach. That is the experience unfolding inside their heart right now. Stay with this story, because there is another layer that deserves to be understood. Lately, they have found themselves replaying small memories that once seemed unimportant. Tiny moments they barely noticed before now return with surprising clarity. Details they overlooked suddenly carry meaning. Simple actions they once dismissed now seem to reveal something much greater. They remember the kindness you showed without expecting praise. They remember the patience you carried during situations that would have caused many people to lose control. They remember the quiet strength you displayed when no one was watching, when there was nothing to gain by pretending to be better than you were. These memories have begun connecting together like pieces of a puzzle. Each one reveals another part of who you truly are. The more they reflect on these moments, the more amazed they become. They realize that what impressed them most was never one grand gesture or one unforgettable event. Instead, it was the steady pattern of your character. It was the consistency that quietly spoke louder than words. What left them speechless was not something you accomplished. It was not a single decision or achievement. It was the person you remained through every situation. They are beginning to understand that your greatest strength has never depended on attention from other people. You do not need constant praise to know your worth. You do not measure your value by how many people notice you. There is a quiet confidence within you that does not ask for approval. There is a calm presence that does not compete with anyone else. There is a depth that cannot be understood by someone who only looks at the surface. Very few people possess that kind of quiet strength. Even fewer protect it in a world that constantly encourages people to wear masks, chase attention, and become someone they are not. Yet somehow, you have continued to remain true to yourself. This is exactly what they are finally beginning to see. As this understanding grows, emotions they believed were under control no longer feel as steady as before. Feelings they thought had disappeared have returned with unexpected strength. Questions they believed had already been answered have suddenly opened again. The surprising part is that none of this happened according to the plan they imagined for themselves. They believed they still had plenty of time to figure out what they truly wanted. They thought understanding would come slowly, one small step at a time. Instead, clarity arrived all at once. It felt like the final piece of a puzzle slipping perfectly into place after years of searching. In one quiet moment, everything began making sense. The world around them looked familiar, yet somehow completely different. Questions that had followed them for so long suddenly started finding answers. Old doubts slowly began losing their power. Confusion gave way to understanding. Fear slowly stepped aside to make room for acceptance. Although they cannot explain every feeling inside them, one truth has become impossible to deny. There is something about you they can no longer ignore. No matter how hard they try to move their attention elsewhere, it keeps returning to you. No matter how many explanations they create, none of them fully capture what they are experiencing. Something deeper continues calling their attention back. Stay a little longer, because this realization is only the beginning. They are standing at the edge of an emotional discovery they never expected to reach. Every day reveals another piece of the picture. Every quiet moment brings another understanding they had never considered before. What first appeared to be simple admiration has become something much greater. They are beginning to realize that some people enter our lives for reasons we do not understand immediately. Some connections reveal their true meaning only after time has quietly removed every illusion. That is exactly where they find themselves now. With each passing day, another layer of truth rises to the surface. And deep inside, they can already sense that this journey is leading towards something far more meaningful than they ever imagined. There are moments in life when something inside a person begins to change without warning. It does not come as a loud event. It does not arrive with clear signs that something important is happening. Instead, it begins quietly, almost invisibly, like a soft shift in the way thoughts form and return. At first, they do not understand what is happening. It feels like memories are rising more often than usual. Small moments that were once forgotten now come back with strange clarity. Not because they are forced, but because they seem to want attention now. These memories carry details that were once ignored, yet now they feel meaningful in a way that is hard to explain. There is something different about the way these thoughts appear. They do not feel random anymore. They feel connected, like pieces of something larger slowly coming together. A pattern is forming, even if it cannot yet be fully seen. What surprises them most is how natural this process feels. There is no struggle inside it. There is no attempt to control it or stop it. The mind is not forcing conclusions. Instead, understanding arrives on its own, like it has always been waiting for the right moment to appear. Every day brings something new, a thought, a memory, a feeling that lingers longer than expected. It is not overwhelming, but it is persistent, and with each passing moment, the picture becomes slightly clearer. What is beginning to form inside them is not confusion, it is recognition. They start to realize something that changes the way they look at everything. It is not about perfection. It is not about someone being flawless or above others. That idea never feels true, and it is not what they are discovering. What they are noticing is something more real, something more grounded. It is the sense that someone can be authentic in a world that often feels artificial. Someone who does not hide behind versions of themselves. Someone who does not shift personality depending on who is watching. This realization becomes stronger the more they think about it. Because in their experience, they have seen how rare it is for people to remain the same in different spaces. Many adjust. Many perform. Many protect themselves by becoming what others expect. But this presence, this person they keep thinking about, does not feel like that. There is a consistency that stands out, a sincerity that cannot be easily imitated. And that sincerity begins to leave an impact deeper than they first expected. At some point, they notice something even more interesting. The thoughts are no longer just about who this person is. They begin to shift towards something else entirely. They start wondering what it would feel like to have this kind of presence in everyday life. What would ordinary days feel like if this connection was closer? What would conversations become if they lasted longer, if they went deeper? What would silence feel like between two people who understand each other without needing to explain everything? These questions do not come with pressure. Instead, they bring a strange sense of calm. There is no anxiety in them, no fear, just curiosity mixed with a feeling of comfort they cannot fully explain. And that comfort becomes important, because it does not match how they usually feel when thinking about possibilities. Usually, uncertainty creates distance, but here, uncertainty creates warmth. It creates a sense of stability that feels unexpected. Slowly, something begins to shift inside them. They stop seeing this connection as something that simply appeared. Instead, they begin to feel that it revealed something that was already there within them. It is not just about the other person anymore. It is about what this connection awakens inside their own mind and heart. Something begins to soften. Something begins to open. They start to understand that what first caught their attention was only the surface. It might have been a moment, a conversation, or even a simple impression. But what holds their attention now is something deeper, something that does not fade easily. There is a realization forming, even if they are not ready to fully say it out loud. It is connected to why this person keeps returning to their thoughts. It is connected to why certain memories feel more meaningful than others. It is connected to why silence no longer feels empty when this presence is involved. It feels like their mind already knows the answer, but their words are still catching up. And this is where the deeper transformation begins. They are no longer just observing someone else. They are also beginning to observe themselves, how they feel, how they change when this person comes to mind, how their mood shifts in subtle but noticeable ways. There is a calmness that appears, a sense of grounding, a feeling that things are not as chaotic as they sometimes seem. It is not excitement alone. It is not obsession. It is something steadier, something more balanced. It feels like clarity slowly replacing confusion. As time passes, they begin to notice a pattern. Whenever this person enters their thoughts, something inside them settles. Even on difficult days, even during moments of stress, the presence of this thought brings a pause, a small reset in the mind. This does not go unnoticed anymore. It becomes something they start to pay attention to more carefully. Because it is no longer random, it feels meaningful. They begin to see qualities in this connection that they once believed were rare. Things like honesty without effort, kindness without expectation, strength without pride, confidence without performance. These are not things people usually show consistently, yet somehow, in their perception, this is what stands out. And because of that, a question begins to form inside them. A quiet question at first, then a stronger one. Why does this matter so much? Why does it keep returning? Why does it feel like every thought eventually leads back to the same place? The answer does not arrive all at once. Instead, it builds slowly, like understanding forming layer by layer. They begin to realize that not every person leaves the same impact. Some people pass through life and are forgotten easily. Some leave behind memories that fade over time. But there are rare connections that do something different. They change the way a person sees life itself, and this is where they start to understand something important. This is not just about feelings that come and go. This is about perspective changing quietly from within. There are moments when they find themselves smiling without a clear reason. Moments when a memory appears and their entire mood shifts instantly. Moments when the idea of the future feels less heavy and more open. These moments do not feel forced. They feel natural. And that is what makes them powerful. Still, there is something deeper that has not yet been fully acknowledged. Something that carries emotional weight. Something they hesitate to confront directly because it changes the meaning of everything they have been feeling. It is not hidden. It is not complicated. It is simply something that requires honesty with themselves, and so they remain in that space of awareness, standing between understanding and acceptance, feeling that something important is close, just beneath the surface, waiting to be fully recognized. Every reflection, every memory, every quiet moment of thought brings them closer to that point, closer to clarity, closer to a realization that will bring all the pieces together. And eventually, they will stop asking why this connection feels different. They will begin asking what it means for their life moving forward. Because the real shift is not just about another person entering their thoughts. It is about what that presence has awakened inside them. And once that becomes clear, nothing will feel exactly the same again. There is a subtle change happening now, even if it is not fully understood yet. At first, they were focused on understanding the other person, their character, their energy, their presence. But now something has changed direction. Their attention begins to turn inward. They start noticing how they themselves feel, think, and grow when this connection is present in their mind. This shift is quiet but powerful. It does not demand attention. It simply grows over time, and with it comes a new kind of awareness. The understanding that sometimes a connection is not only about discovering someone else, it is also about discovering parts of yourself you did not fully see before. This realization is only beginning. It will continue to unfold, and as it does, it will reshape how they understand connection, meaning, and emotional truth. Because in the end, what they are experiencing is not just attraction or curiosity. It is transformation. And transformation always begins quietly, long before it becomes impossible to ignore. Every meaningful connection acts like a mirror. It reveals strengths that were once forgotten. It brings back dreams that were left behind, and possibilities that were never fully allowed to grow inside the mind. It quietly shows a person parts of themselves they had stopped paying attention to. And in this connection, something similar begins to happen. The person they feel deeply connected to starts reflecting things back to them in a way that feels almost impossible to ignore. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet and steady realization that grows with time. Every time this soulmate thinks about you, they are not only thinking about you, they are also slowly reconnecting with parts of themselves that had been silent for a long time. Parts of their heart that were forgotten are beginning to respond again. It is not sudden. It feels natural, like something that was always there, but only now becoming visible. This realization leaves them in a quiet state of surprise. Not because something shocking happened, but because nothing forced it to happen. There was no dramatic moment that changed everything in a single second. Instead, understanding built slowly, layer by layer, until it became something they could no longer deny or ignore. At first, it started as a small curiosity, a passing thought, a moment of attention that felt normal. But over time, that curiosity became something deeper. It turned into awareness, and that awareness slowly turned into something much stronger, something that stayed in their mind longer than expected. Now they are beginning to understand something important. Your presence in their life feels like more than admiration. It feels like more than simple interest. It feels deeper than a passing emotional reaction. There is something about you that keeps returning to their thoughts, even when they try to focus elsewhere. You remind them of something they had almost forgotten. You remind them of authenticity. You remind them that real connections still exist in a world where people often hide behind masks. You remind them that it is still possible to be genuine, open, and real without pretending to be something else. And you also remind them that life becomes more meaningful when people stop hiding who they are and start showing up as their true selves. This reminder does not feel forced. It feels natural, like something they already knew but had lost contact with. Because of this, their emotions begin to grow stronger. Not in a chaotic way, but in a steady and deepening way. Every time they think they have understood everything about this feeling, another layer quietly reveals itself. Another insight appears. Another realization forms. It feels like this understanding has no fixed endpoint. What started as simple curiosity has now become respect. What started as admiration has slowly transformed into appreciation. And what once felt like a question is gradually becoming something closer to certainty, even if they do not fully admit it yet. There are moments when they feel a strange kind of calm just by imagining the future. Not because everything is clear, and not because every answer is known, but because your presence creates a feeling of trust inside them. A feeling that things do not need to be rushed. A feeling that meaningful connections take time to grow properly. You are becoming that feeling for them. A reminder that good things do not need to be forced. A reminder that sincerity still matters. A reminder that some connections become stronger with time instead of fading away. And this is where something begins to shift again. Because while they have spent so much time noticing what makes you different, they are now beginning to realize something even more important. The qualities they admire in you are not just things they appreciate from a distance. They are qualities they wish to build inside themselves as well. This realization creates a deeper alignment within them. It starts to feel like this connection is not only about emotions, it is also about growth. It is about learning. It is about becoming more aware of who they are and who they want to be. It quietly guides them toward a clearer understanding of life and relationships. But there is still something they have not fully understood yet. Something just beyond their complete awareness. A deeper realization that explains why your presence keeps returning to their thoughts again and again. Why your memory stays active in their mind, even during ordinary moments. Why they cannot simply move past these feelings as easily as they expected. The answer feels close now. So close that they can almost sense it. The pieces are slowly coming together inside them. Thoughts, emotions, and memories are aligning in a way that feels meaningful, even if not fully clear yet. And soon, this understanding will become impossible to ignore. It will not arrive as something forced or sudden. It will arrive as something natural, something that has been building all along beneath the surface of their awareness. Something meaningful is unfolding in this journey, and it is becoming stronger with every passing moment. There comes a point in every meaningful emotional experience when a person stops searching for proof and starts recognizing what has already been understood deep inside. That moment is slowly approaching now. Your soulmate is moving closer to that state, not quickly, not under pressure, but in a calm and steady way. Their doubts are becoming softer, their questions are becoming quieter, and something more stable is beginning to take their place. This understanding was never forced. It did not come from one single moment. It forms slowly through small experiences, subtle observations, and quiet realizations that did not seem important at first, but carried deeper meaning over time. Recently, something unusual has started happening inside their mind. When they think about the future, your presence appears more often than before. Not because they are forcing it, but because it happens naturally, without effort. They imagine simple moments. A conversation that feels easy, a shared laugh, a peaceful moment that does not need explanation. These thoughts appear without warning, and every time they do, they bring the same feeling inside them. Comfort, hope, trust. The more this happens, the harder it becomes to ignore, because some feelings fade when examined too closely, but this feeling does not fade. Instead, it becomes clearer. And what surprises them most is not just your presence in their thoughts, but the qualities they see in you. Not surface-level things, not temporary impressions, but deeper qualities that remain steady no matter what changes around them. Your resilience, your sincerity, your ability to continue moving forward even when life becomes difficult. Your ability to stay kind even when situations are complicated. These things leave a lasting impression that does not fade easily. Usually, excitement fades with time. Usually, curiosity fades. Usually, first impressions lose their strength. But in this case, something different is happening. The more they understand you, the stronger their feelings become instead of weaker. And because of that, they start paying closer attention to their own emotions. They begin to listen more carefully to what their heart has been trying to tell them quietly all along. There are moments when everything suddenly feels simple. Not because every question is answered, but because the most important questions no longer feel confusing. Deep inside, they already know there is a reason your presence keeps returning. There is a reason your memory stays alive in their mind. There is a reason their thoughts always come back to you. With every passing day, this understanding becomes harder to ignore. And what they are approaching now is not just a temporary feeling. It is recognition. Recognition of someone whose importance becomes clearer over time. Recognition of a connection that continues to reveal deeper meaning. Recognition of a person who has quietly changed the way they see what truly matters in life. And now, another shift is beginning to take place. For the first time, their focus is no longer only on what surprised them in the past. Their attention is moving toward what comes next. Questions start to appear more often in their mind. What happens when a feeling can no longer be denied? What happens when admiration begins to turn into something deeper? What happens when the future starts to feel connected to someone in ways that were never expected before? These questions do not feel distant anymore. They feel present. They feel real. And even though the answers are not fully formed yet, they are getting closer every day. Soon, a deeper truth will begin to appear in their awareness. A truth that has been present throughout the entire journey, hidden quietly beneath every thought, every memory, and every emotion they have experienced. And once that truth becomes clear, everything they have been feeling will finally start to make complete sense.